I met so many interesting and amazing women when I was serving my time in federal prison. I worked in the reentry department, so women would come and tell me as they prepared to go home what they were nervous about. And I loved them, you know. Most of them were just scared to come home. They were afraid that they wouldn't be accepted when they got here. And I remember this woman that I met, her name, we'll call her Candy, and one day she goes, "Hey, Louder, you don't look like you belong in prison, but I see the suffering in your eyes, and that's something we all share in here." And I said, "Yeah." Another time I said, "Hey, Candy, I'm going to miss you, girl." And she goes, "Yeah, I'm going home." And I said, "Man, how long have you been here?" She'd been in prison for 5 years. And I said, "What'd they lock you up for?" And she said, "Well, they hit me on deliberate indifference. I was in a car and there were drugs in the car and I should have known it was there." And I said, "Really?" And she goes, "Yeah, but I'm not upset about it." She goes, "It's been good for me." She goes, "I did so many things I got away with anyway. And I met some good friends and I got my GED." And I was like, "All right." And then I asked her, I said, "Are you going home to your folks, you know?" And she said, "No." She said, "My dad can't take care of himself and my mother passed away a long time ago." I said, "Oh man, I'm sorry." And she said, "You know, my mother suffered more than anyone I ever knew." She said, "When I was a little girl, my mom was a drug addict. She always used, she was on and off the streets. And when I was 11, my mom pimped me out for drugs." She said, "I went into the system and my mom ended up going to prison. And even when she got out, all she ever did was use drugs." She said, "At the end of her life, I was sitting at the hospital with her. And she said she was, you know, suffering so deeply. And I just looked at her and I said, 'Mom, let it go. I forgive you. You have suffered enough. I'm doing fine, Mom. I love you.'" And I remember looking at this woman and being like, I knew I was in the presence of greatness, of somebody that could forgive her mother and actually have compassion on her. And that's just one example of one of the amazing women that I met in federal prison.